who can tender a claim?
Good question. You're asking that because under the general liability policy, the homeowners are additional insureds, right? So technically you think they could make a claim, but tell some boards that who tell the agent, don't let them make a claim. And so strangely enough, and unfortunately, we don't have any case law in California, nor do we have any statutory language on this. I think homeowners can make a claim under the policy.
We're under some unusual circumstances. And Tony, maybe you could talk a little bit about the Unfair Claims Settlement Act.
Yeah, so in California, the California Fair Claims Settlement Practices requires that any licensed agent or broker, once they receive notice of an occurrence, is required to notify the carrier. So if an owner were to approach us or a board member, whoever it may be, if there's a situation that could be considered a claim, we're required to notify the insurance carrier, regardless of where the source is. So for those associations who have the board who might want to feel a little bit more like a gatekeeper and sort of regulate what gets submitted and what doesn't,
Wait, when does that happen?
It's an occasional thing. But it becomes problematic for us because, the state dictates our obligation as opposed to, while we have an obligation to our insured, obviously, it sort of is overruled by, the state.
So you have a homeowner that calls your office because they know you provide coverage for the association. They tell you that I've got this claim. The board's not fixing this problem. It's leaking. It leaked in the last rain. And then the board says, no, we don't want you to make this claim, but you feel duty bound under law because you now know there's an occurrence.
Depending on the circumstances, oftentimes what will happen is if a serious situation or emergency situation comes in, called in by a homeowner, and we submit it, and then the board calls in after it's already been submitted, it's almost like, the cat's already out of the bag. We can't put it back. So then it's just sort of asking for forgiveness as opposed to permission. But it is really tricky, and a lot of boards are concerned about that because they want to maintain the loss history. They want to sort of be in control of that. But there's the question of what is the obligation to the owner? What are the owner's rights as the person who pays for that insurance out of their dues?
This is a big debate with a lot of associations.
It's a tough issue.
Yeah.
I mean, as a licensee, and all 14 people on our staff are licensed in the state of California to conduct insurance. If they knowingly do it, it's a $10,000 penalty. If they unknowingly, mistakenly forget to submit a claim, it's a $5,000 penalty. So there are ramifications financially for us if we don't go ahead and pursue the claim.
And especially for property claims, we try to make our insureds aware of the fact that, like Tim said, property claim is finite. A liability claim, if you don't submit that to the carrier, you're going to get sued as a liability claim, and that can be astronomical. There's no limit on that.
And most of these regulations came out of the Oakland firestorm in '91. These are really circumstances where carriers were not making good on their obligation to pay claims, and the insurance commissioner really came down firmly on them and said, "Yes, you will be responsive to these claims, and we'll change the insurance code to make sure that it happens."
Really, there are other insurance agencies that don't do this. I know this because I see the interaction. I see emails. Sometimes I'm just left on the emails and I see that the agent gets a notice of a claim from a homeowner and the board is very strong. The manager's telling the insurance agent, no, do not make the claim. The board does not want the claim made, and they'll acquiesce.
Well, at the end of the day, it is their policy. So if they feel strongly and they're willing to document the request, there may be a case for, hey, they told us not to. This is our client and we're following their instructions. I don't know that I certainly wouldn't recommend that. And given the opportunity to, proceed with the claim and then receive that instruction after it already been submitted is preferable to me, just for the protection of the integrity of, the way we do business and things that we want to have out there. But it would be, a rock and a hard place between doing, fulfilling your obligation and having that strict admonition from your client.
It seems silly to me that you've got someone making an allegation or a complaint or has sustained damage. Why not let an independent third party? Insurance companies are not philanthropic organizations. They're not just giving money away. They're paying money because they feel that a dollar is due somebody. Why not give that opportunity to the insurance carrier? And if there's no money due them, they'll be closed without payment.